Hello, everyone. We're back to 50/50 Day. I'm Tiffany Shlain, co-founder of 50/50 Day and director of the film 50/50. We have over 11,000 events happening in over 65 countries, all 50 states. We're so happy you're here. I just want to remind you that you can ask questions to people on Facebook Live, and we will be funneling them through. We have two brilliant women. I'm so excited to have them. We have Jane Rosenthal, who is the co-founder of the Tribeca Film Festival and executive chair of the Tribeca Enterprise. She's an amazing film producer with a long list of credits, including Analyze This, About a Boy and Meet the Parents. Ava DuVernay is an Oscar-nominated director of Selma, Middle of Nowhere, and 13th. You are both heroes to me. It's such an honor to be here. So I guess I would love to start here with Jane. You've been in the business a long time. And I guess I'd like to know, how do you think things have changed since you started making movies? I mean, where do you think we are on this kind of trajectory of getting to 50/50?
I think we're finally asking the questions. So it's we're asking more questions. We are demanding. We're demanding to not only be heard but to be hired. And certainly in the film and television business, you have many executives in the ranks, and you have a number of producers in the ranks. It's really getting more directors and the right stories out there that have a diverse point of view.
Great. And Ava, how do you think, since you first started making movies, how do you feel like things have changed, or have they?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you sound great.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for doing this and thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here with Jane. She's my producer. You know, we work together on projects. It's so rare and wonderful to have, women producers with power. You know, Jane is one of the few, so I'm blessed to call her mine. But I think, for me, even starting films, made my first film in 2010. So it's been just 8 short years. There's been a lot of change. There's been more tools to be independent. And I think that's what I've embraced, alongside kind of a track that's led me into spaces where I'm working in a more corporate environment, studio environment. And that came from the autonomy and independence of doing it myself. It gave me the tools to be able to control my own destiny, control my own narrative, control my own distribution, control my own audience development. And so now that I'm in a space where I have a lot more dragons to slay, my foundation of starting as an independent has prepared me to go into those spaces, knowing what I'm talking about in a lot of ways when it comes to those key things. So I think, I feel like, now filmmakers who are starting are able to enter into this whole system in a much more robust way, a much more educated way than a lot of us who were just starting when the tools were available.
I think that's right on. And I know that you both, I remember, Jane, you've been so supportive of my career as well. And I love your women's brunch at Tribeca. And gathering powerful women is so important in this kind of movement forward. But I would like each of you to talk about the work you do to rise up and lift up women and make sure there are diverse voices, because I know you both have done a lot of work in that space.
So for the past 12 years, Tribeca has worked with underserved filmmakers, women of all colors, shapes, and sizes to promote and work on their films, introduce them to industry. We also started a program last year called Through Her Lens with Chanel. Again, it's to give women support in getting their projects made, and also the scaffolding and the mentorship that they need.
Wonderful. And Ava, do you want to talk about your work in raising up women directors?
Yeah, well, I raised up myself. That's the first one. And then the second is, since 2008, 2010, when I made my first film, I Will Follow, I knew that there was no clear road, no clear path to being able to share that with audiences. And so I started a distribution collective with some like-minded people. The firm at the time called Affirm, now called Array. And our goal is to amplify films by women and people of color. So we're in our 15th film. We do that by hand with a lot of sweat equity, a lot of passion, a lot of love, not very much money, but we're really loud. And so we've been doing that for, I don't know, the last 8 years. And then we've got Queen Sugar, the Queen Sugar Project, which was my first series on television that I was a showrunner for. And can you hear me?
Yeah, you just went out for a second and now you're back.
You can see me? You can hear me? Both?
Now I can see and hear you. Yes, we got picture and sound. Keep going.
Okay. The Queen Sugar Project is a series that's on the Oprah Winfrey Network owned. And we hire all women directors. People ask me why we do it. I say it's the same reason why Game of Thrones hires all men directors, because they can and they want to, and they do. So that's why we do what we do at Queen Sugar. We're in our second season. And this season we actually have a director that's come from James Through the Lens program. So it's all about kind of, making sure that women are heard or amplified, and that we're sharing our stories.
But we have to support each other, Tiffany, and that's the key here, is to keep supporting each other and bringing each other up and along to the next phase. And I think by doing that, you have more women directors to choose from. And we hopefully within the next 10 years, you won't have to say, you just want who the best director is, and there won't be such a huge divide.
Well, it's interesting that you said 10 years, because when I made the film 50/50, my real question was, where are we on the arc of history? Where are we on the arc of history of getting to equality? And we have come so far in the last 100 years, but where are we? And then in the film industry and media representation and more representation that accurately reflects our society, I wonder from both of you, do you really think it's 10 years? That makes me feel really good, but I'm just curious. Where are we on that arc? I feel like there's been a lot more conversation about this issue in the last 5 years. And are you seeing the results? You're both living examples of it, but are you seeing the movement in the infrastructure itself?
Look, I'm seeing the movement in the infrastructure itself, but I also see what is being done to women in this current administration. And so on one hand, to be able to support artists and directors and people within the film industry is one thing, and we look and say, yes, I'm giving an arbitrary number of 10 years that we could get there based on the work Ava's doing, based on the work I've been doing, and many, many others. But in terms of women and equality, we're going to have to fight really hard for ourselves if you continue to have defunding of Planned Parenthood and all these other issues that are going on in this current administration.
Yes, I agree. Ava, do you want to respond to that?
Yeah, I'm both. I'm on both sides of the fence. I don't see really change happening systemically. But it doesn't mean that change cannot happen, radical change, as we've seen with the civil rights movement, as we've seen with the gay rights movement, as we've seen with all kinds of movements in this country and around the world. Change can happen like that, radical change.
Yeah.
Taken from the power structure from under their feet. It can happen. It will continue to happen. It's how it happens. And so, no, I'm not seeing much now, but I think, while that happens, while we work for that change in that area, I just espouse so passionately the need to not be sitting knocking at someone else's door, but building your own house. And that's how I've gone about moving forward every day in a career that's kind of stacked against me, in an industry that's stacked against me. And I urge all women out there who might be watching this and interested in image making to not sit around and ask for permission from some old man who says yes. Go out and figure out a way to make that thing yourself.
I couldn't agree more. Somebody said to me, well, how do you create a day? And I was like, you just do it. 50/50 day, it's our day. We're creating it. And just the momentum and how, we have over 11,000 screenings that just happened in the last several months. So people are ready. I actually feel that the one sign of hope, and I want to end on that question, is it does feel like people are awake. We're doubling down on what we need to do. And that gives me hope. In the wake of all this stuff that's happening right now, I just feel like I've never felt people more awake in my lifetime. So I would love to ask each of you to close just something that gives you hope right now in the industry, or you can go beyond that. We can get wider if you want, but We are talking about women in film.
Well, I have hope because Ava's been able to develop and watch her growth over the past 5 years, and the work that she's doing and the noises she's making and the women that she's hiring. And I look at that, and that gives me hope. And we need to double down and do that 100 times over. I have hope because, Tiffany, you just created 50/50 Day just because you can and because of the use of technology. And we all need to support each other and continue to honor and expand each other's voices.
Amen to that. I have hope whenever I see work by a woman, and I see a lot of it, and I just urge people to do that. It's one thing to talk about, there should be more women directors, and it's another thing to go see that film, see that short, go out and participate and be an audience and be a champion for women's voices. Most likely they're not going to be playing at your big blockbuster theater next to Guardians of the Galaxy 2. There'll be places where you have to go seek it out, but it's a plant, a flower that needs to be watered. And if we all say it matters to us, then we have to be active in cultivating that hope.
Beautiful. You two are very inspiring. I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. You're doing such courageous and important work, and I'm grateful. I'm sure everyone watching is grateful. So thank you, and thank you for participating today for 50/50 Day.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.